everybody, Virgo here. It is July 31st, 2019, and I wanted to answer a couple of questions that I've gotten over the last week with regards to the Moorish movement that's going on, specifically the Moorish American consulate, the Sharon Tracy Gale phenomenon that's happening. So some of you may remember this gentleman. His name is Tim Turner. Actually, that's not his full name. That's just what he went by. I did a SC history on this gentleman, and he is absolutely 100% a fraud. But I wanted to remind you of what he looks like before I go over a specific FBI piece of information that is online that you guys can check out. Because Tim was actually doing literally everything that the consulate is doing currently. And I want you guys to take a look at where Tim ended up. Now, I want to thank Dave H. for reminding me of this, because this is very much a case where you will find that all of the stuff that is being pushed by the Moorish American Consulate Northeast, specifically Sharon Tracy Gale, is pushing this, along with all of the other consulates that are all across the nation, according to these individuals. Really, if you're a part of that movement, you absolutely need to pay attention to this. So, self-proclaimed president of Sovereign Citizen Group sentenced to federal prison for promoting tax fraud scheme. But that isn't all that was going on with Mr. Turner. So let me go ahead and actually read this statement from the FBI, and I will link this in the description for you. So this was, how funny. So July 31st, 2013, we have an anniversary going on here. The Justice Department, the Internal Revenue Service, and the FBI announced that James Timothy Turner, also known as Tim Turner, was sentenced to serve 18 years in federal prison for conspiracy to defraud the United States, which is exactly what this group is attempting to do. I mentioned on my live stream that most of you were not able to hear because of the fact that I believe it was just way too late to change the schedule up. We were supposed to do it tomorrow. I ended up changing it last night to today, and unfortunately with everybody's work schedule, I know it was hard to get on there. Plus, on top of everything else, the live stream was not what it was supposed to be. So I'm rescheduling the question and answer live stream for next week. But one of the things I mentioned on there that you guys missed is that I am doing a mini doc on the history of the Moorish Science Temple, Noble Drew Ali, and how we got to where we're at with this fanatical movement. It's going to be going up on my Patreon, in which to watch it, you'll only, it's like $1 to join Patreon in order to watch it. I'm doing it as a special thing for the people who have donated to Patreon to support the Virgo Triad channel, because it's been really heavily requested. One of the things that you will notice that in that mini doc is that these grouping of individuals were being looked at by the Federal Bureau of Investigation because of the fact that they were conspiring to either defraud or overthrow the United States government. And at one point in the Chicago area, they were even teaching their followers that the Japanese were involved, and even the Japanese were showing up. Some of the Japanese were showing up to their actual meetings, and there were claims that were being made that the Japanese was going to assist in overthrowing the United States government. And when that happened, that if you were a part of the Moorish Science Temple, you would not be killed as everyone else was going to be. Now, keep in mind this investigation was in 1940, and there's a whole lot about this FBI investigation that I'll be going into in the mini doc. If you want to make sure that you're signed up to Patreon, I will put the link in the description of this video, or you can go to patreon.com/VirgoTriad1. Like I said, for as little as $1, you'll be able to actually take a look at all of these really interesting mini docs that I'm putting putting together for the people that are supporting the channel. I'm doing one per month, and this one will be put up on Friday of next week. So, as I'm reading this, keep in mind that the whole reason that I'm even discussing this about Timothy Turner is because most of what the grouping is doing right now is actually what Tim Turner attempted to try to do throughout his Sovsit career, we'll call it. Remember that Tim was one of the people that actually went out and did these spectacular 2 and 3 day seminars, kind of like Winston Shroud did, and found himself in a heap of trouble here. So 18 years in federal prison for conspiracy to defraud the United States, attempting to pay taxes with fictitious financial instruments, meaning that he was either doing presentments that we would consider accepted for value or A4V, or he was actually doing liens. So let's pay attention to that, because we know Sharon Tracy Gale loves her liens. This is something that is in the actual case history. He filed liens like crazy, and eventually it catches up to you. It caught up to Winston. It has caught up to the majority of people now. It may take 5 to 7 years, but that seems to be kind of one of those things that really tips people off. The difference between Tim and a lot of the Sovsits that are sitting in prison right now doing many, many years because of filing fraudulent liens and this sort of thing had a lot to do with the fact that they were bold enough to actually file these liens in an appropriate place where they would be noticed and recognized by the United States. Unlike the Moorish American Consulate Northeast, which does not seem to have the guts to do that. They want to do it behind closed doors and pretend like they have the authority. These are not going to be recognized at all in any shape or form by the actual United States government, as we are not in Morocco. And another thing that the mini doc actually goes over is the fact that even Noble Drew Ali said Morocco is in Africa. Mexam is Africa. So they're totally full of shit when it comes to that, but regardless. All right. So he also falsely testified under oath in a bankruptcy proceeding, and he failed to file a 2009 federal income tax return. But attempting to obstruct and impede the IRS and failing to file the federal income tax return, those are all secondary things to these financial instruments and the fraud that he put out there for other people to do. So he was perpetuating this crazy movement. In March of 2013, following a 5-day jury trial, Turner was convicted on 10 counts in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Alabama. Excuse me, hold on. So sorry, my allergies are going nuts this morning. Based on the evidence introduced at trial and in court filings, Turner, the self-proclaimed president of the Sovsit group, Republic for the United States of America, RUSA, which by the way is still up, still running, and still has a active website. There is just simply someone else pretending to be president now. Traveled the country in 2008 and 2009 conducting seminars teaching attendees how to defraud the IRS by preparing and submitting fictitious bonds to the U.S. government in payment of federal taxes, mortgages, and other debt. The evidence at trial revealed the bonds are fictitious, and witnesses testified that Turner used special paper, financial terminology, and elaborate borders in an effort to make them look authentic and more likely to succeed in defrauding the recipient. Turner was convicted of sending a $300 million fictitious bond in his own name and of aiding and abetting others and sending 15 other fictitious bonds to the Treasury Department to pay taxes and other debts. Again, A4V. The evidence at trial also established that Turner taught people how to file retaliatory liens. So this is what we are looking at here, guys. Retaliatory liens against government officials who interfered with the processing of fictitious bonds. Turner filed a purported $17.6 billion maritime lien In Montgomery County, Alabama, probate court against another individual. This investigation began after Turner and 3 other self-proclaimed guardian elders sent demands to all 50 governors in the United States in March of 2010, ordering each governor to resign within 3 days to be replaced by a sovereign leader or be removed. The FBI immediately began investigating Turner, and the IRS Criminal Investigation, IRS/CI, joined the investigation soon thereafter. This lengthy prison sentence shows that tax deniers like Turner, who use bogus tax schemes and file retaliatory liens against government officials, will be punished. Let's go back and take a look at this again. It's worth revisiting. Sharon Tracy Gale filing liens against, look at the presidential nominee Marianne Williamson. Just yesterday. False liens against individuals left and right. And what did we look at yesterday in last night's video that I uploaded? The fact that she supposedly sent off these fictitious liens or information claiming that all police officers, judges, court clerks, all kinds of individuals that are considered government officials, whether they're civilian or not, step down, get out of the way, or be arrested, because they're going to be replaced with the Moorish people. Exactly the same kind of crap that Tim Turner was saying. The evidence at trial also established that Turner taught people how to file retaliatory liens against government officials. That's what Noble L. is doing, who interfered with the processing of fictitious bonds. It doesn't matter what the reasoning is. Filing retaliatory liens against government and now individual citizens in the United States is against the law in all states, and in most states a felony. Turner filed a purported $17.6 million, a sheer fraction of the amount that Sharon Tracy Gale has just on Marianne Williamson's lien. It's a god-awful amount she's got on there. This billion maritime lien in Montgomery County, Alabama probate court against another individual. This investigation began after Turner and 3 other self-proclaimed guardian elders sent demands to all 50 governors in the United States in March of 2010. So what did I show you yesterday on yesterday's video? All 50 governors, including the United States of America, in which I went in and actually checked the certified mail receipts, and every single one of whatever they sent, which they claim is this sheet of paper, or 34 sheets of paper actually, showing that they supposedly have the authority to tell all judges and everybody to step down. Why don't we just stamp extremist on our forehead? That's basically what she's done to everybody involved in this movement. So as you can see, now she's going to claim, oh, but we're the indigenous and Turner was not, and that's why he got busted. No, that's bullshit. The truth is that what is happening is absolutely 100% illegal, fraudulent, and considered frivolous paperwork at the very least. So, I'm not going to continue on with this. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys read this for yourselves. I will put the link in the description of the video. But I want you to see that eventually, it takes time, but eventually these people do get caught. And when they're caught in large groups, it becomes a huge, huge deal. Every single one of these people that are involved in the Moorish community at this point that have to do with the consulates are part of a vast conspiracy against the United States government. And some of them don't even realize it. Conspiracy is a very, very, very scary thing to have against you when you're dealing with the federal government. And let's face it, guys, even Noble Drew Ali states in his documentation that Amexem is in Africa. Morocco is in Africa. The stuff about it all being part of North America is all made up. So the jurisdiction is anyone walking on the land in the United States, which includes Sharon Tracy Gale and all of her followers. Just an example of how when the law does catch up, it can be a pretty heavy burden to bear when you've been the leader of a cult group. All right, you guys, have a great day. Bye-bye.